Good day and welcome to the Herbert Dennard Show. Right now we are talking to Senator Robert Brown, who is going to be a candidate for mayor. There's been a lot of speculation and rumors whether he's running or not. And recently he announced that he is running for mayor of Macon. Tell us about it, Robert.
Well, I think we're running a good race. I think it's time for Macon to have a better mayor. I believe that I'll be a better mayor and we can build a better Macon. I'm concerned about crime in this city. I think the current administration has failed abysmally on this issue. We continue to have our communities are not safe. We have gangs running the street. We have prostitutes walking down main streets of our communities, and that's just not being addressed. The infrastructure of our city is falling apart, and the mayor's come up with harebrained schemes to sell city buildings and wanting to contribute $250,000 per year per Music Hall of Fame and Sports Hall of Fame in a city that can't support Memorial Gym, and we're going to spend that kind of money for state buildings. I think it's time for change, and I believe that I'm a better mayor.
What would you do if you got elected and you go into office tomorrow? What do you do? What are your plans?
Well, one of the first things I would do, as I've just suggested, is focus in on the issue of crime. I would focus in on infrastructure, but the very first thing that I would do was start to build a bonding relationship with City Council. The mayor will not be able to function in that office effectively without having a good working relationship with City Council. That is one of my first priorities, is to build that relationship with enough votes on council to be able to move things forward. I would not go in there with an antagonistic relationship or an antagonistic attitude toward council. Each individual council member is elected by the people, and then you have to respect them. You may not always agree with them, but that's one of the very first things that a mayor will have to do, is build those relationships. And secondly, I would look at the administration. The persons who I would hire as CAO are the people I may want to keep, who would be a part of my core team. All of those things would be high on the list of priorities on the day that I walk into the office.
What about crime?
Crime is an issue that I think we need to address. I will have a comprehensive plan that I'm going to announce shortly after I qualify. It's going to be a plan that will focus on the top to bottom of crime. We have not had a specific set of goals and objectives set by a mayor in the last 10 to 15 years. And certainly this current mayor has failed abysmally on that issue, and that is going to be one of my first priorities, and I'm going to focus like a laser beam on making sure that this city is safe.
You would need, I know, a new police chief. Every mayor generally gets a new. I'm
not talking about anybody leaving any personnel issues. I think that until you are in office and you can evaluate what you have in place, that is the appropriate time to talk about that. I don't think that you make those kind of decisions on the campaign trail without having looked at the qualifications, the performance, and all those other aspects of any office, and not just the police chief. But I think any office that has a direct responsibility to the mayor needs to be evaluated, and I will do that for all of the offices.
So crime, you would put that together when you announce your candidacy. I mean, when you pay your qualifying fee.
Sure. No, not at the time. I said shortly after. Sure. I'm going to announce a comprehensive crime crime package in terms of how I will handle that issue.
Okay. You know, you mentioned something earlier. In a lot of sections of town, you see prostitutes walking the street.
Yes.
It's a lot of them on drugs.
Okay. So,
and maybe you don't want to address it now, but what do you do to get them off the street?
You arrest them.
They arrest them now, they let them out the next day.
Well, that's another set of issues. In my comprehensive plan, I will talk about what to do with individuals who have been arrested, but I don't think that you're aggressively arresting them. For example, you don't just go after the prostitutes. You go after the Johns as well. I passed legislation several years ago that says that if you are caught with a prostitute as a John, you should be made to have an STD test to determine whether you have some communicable disease. If you are married, that test result should be sent to your spouse. You should also have your photo placed in the local legal organ, in other words, the local newspaper. Nobody has really enforced that because we know, as well as you know, generally the folk who they are picking up don't look like the folks who are picking them up. In other words, you have a lot of white folks who are coming in our community picking up black prostitutes, and they are not putting their pictures in the paper. They're not forcing them to take STD tests and sending them home to their wives. That's part of the comprehensive plan that you have to address this issue. You just can't say, I'm going to pick somebody up, or I'm not going to arrest them because it's a non-violent crime or it's a victimless crime, all that kind of crap. If they were doing it on the corner of Jackson Springs and Nottingham, none of those kinds of questions would be asked. But as long as they're doing it on Brentwood and Montpelier and Houston Avenue, and even on Telfair Street, 2 and 3 blocks from the jail, you know, that kind of mess is going on, but it's tolerated because of the community that it's in. And as I said, that law that I passed that requires you, when you are caught as a John, that you have to take an STD test. That result has to be sent to your spouse. Even if you live out of state, it's supposed to be sent to your spouse. And whether it's a positive or negative, she will know that you've been out there messing around, and you possibly could be bringing her some kind of disease home. And then your picture goes in the paper.
Wow.
You know, but we have not enforced that law.
Yeah, I think it's a good law, and a person, if you are absolutely correct, you can go down Telfair, not far from the jail. You can go down the church, Reverend Elm Street, at Reverend Parker's church.
Ebenezer.
All up in that area.
Right.
You see women walking the streets.
Right.
Selling their body.
Right.
All through Fort Hill, you see it.
Yes, sir.
In Bellevue.
Yes, sir.
Large numbers of prostitutes, black and white.
Yes, sir.
Selling their body.
Yes, sir.
Offering themselves for sale.
Yes, sir.
In those areas. And but from my understanding, because I've talked to them and I have interviewed them, they're on drugs.
Okay, they're on drugs.
And they are doing something. See, they're doing something to get money so they can buy crack cocaine.
Okay.
And the men are coming through there and picking them up.
Right.
Black men and white men.
Right.
They don't discriminate.
Right.
When they see what they want.
Right.
And they're going through those areas, picking those prostitutes up, taking them off.
Sure.
Spending $10 to $30 probably on them, somewhere in that area.
Sure.
And your proposal is that you enforce the law.
You enforce the law, and because not only are you affecting those individuals who engage in that illegal activity, you are poisoning the minds of the young people who see that activity go on. And so when you tell a young person that you ought to obey the law, and they see these folks violating the law with impunity every day and nothing being done about it, then how are you going to be able to convince them that they should not engage in that kind of behavior, engage in the kind of negative behavior they're engaged in? You don't allow that kind of thing to happen in Shirley Hills. You don't allow it to happen in St. Andrews. You don't allow to have it happen in these other areas of town. So why should it happen in Pleasant Hill? Why should it happen in Unionville? Why should it happen in Village Green? You enforce the law. The cultural mores will not allow it to happen in those areas, and we're going to have to make sure that we discontinue those kinds of activities in our community. And that's what the police are for. Now, I know the mayor has something called Shalom, but you need shotgun. You need somebody to go in here and enforce the law. You know, these folks running around here and doing these criminal activities, they'll tell you, I'll steal some Shalom. You know, they don't care anything about those so-called nonviolent programs, and you don't go to Shirley Hills and tell them to form a Shalom. You call the police, and that's what we're going to do in Unionville. That's what we're going to do in South Macon. That's what we're going to do in Shirley Hills. That's what we're going to do in Pleasant Hill. Wherever the law is being violated, we're going to have the police to deal with it. We're not going to have some citizen patrol out here risking themselves getting shot up, running around here trying to stop some of these thugs. We're going to have the police to do it.
We got about 60 seconds left.
Okay.
You can look directly at that camera there and tell the people of Macon absolutely anything you want, and you have 60 seconds.
If you want the same thing that you've always had, send the same person back to office. If you want change, send Robert Brown to turn this town around. Robert Brown will be a better mayor, and we'll have a better Macon. Thank you very much, and I look forward to serving you for as long as you allow me to serve you.
That's a very interesting interview.
Thank you, sir.
Appreciate it. Good luck.
Yes, sir.
And we'll be right back.